So I started recording and it is 7:30. This is the May 13th meeting of the Lunenburg Open Space Committee. We're holding this meeting in accordance with open meeting law. It's on Zoom, and I don't know why, but I always read the Zoom number because we're all on it already. It's let me see if I've got it right, 8816320439. And so if we do have any visitors come this evening to the meeting. Do you know if the town planner is going to be able to make it? You're on mute. Oh, here he is. He just pulled in. Yeah, you're still muted.
Sorry about that.
That's
Yeah, there
okay.
we go. He just came in.
That's okay. Hi, Stephen. Welcome.
Good evening.
So I was just getting the meeting started. I read the official notice and I'd like to call the meeting to order. So the first order of business is to go through the minutes from 4/8. Um, Usually they go through fairly quickly, but I've got a bunch of edits on this one. I think Andrea's got a few as well. So I'd like to run through those with you guys and we can make the changes. So I'm going to try to share my markup of the minutes. Oh, I thought I had them queued up. Hang on, I got to find it. Yeah, there we go. So these are the minutes. Chris, thank you for taking these. These are the minutes that Chris sent out to us. And I made the markup. You'll see some in red, some markup in red. Um, I respelled my name, Chris, for you. So that's the first markup. Um, the first thing we did at the last meeting is we welcomed Andrea as the Concom representative, and we appointed Chris St. Germain as the community representative. So I thought the minutes should reflect that. And Chris, I can make all these changes. I just want to go
Yeah,
through
that's
these with
fine.
everybody.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Um, Approval of the minutes. The one thing Andrea brought up is she wasn't here for the March meeting, so she didn't second
Okay.
the motion to approve. Do we have any idea?
I'm guessing Anna,
I'm guessing Anna because Colleen wasn't with us.
right?
So
Okay.
I'll put Anna in there and see what happens, okay?
Mhm.
Um, the next major change that I have is we started to talk. Oh, here's Anna. We started to talk about a right of first refusal, but it wasn't this one. This was one from a while ago
Oh,
that we went through. So the one that we were looking at was 35 Lemonster Road. We're going to talk about that again tonight, but so I can make that change, but we didn't vote or anything. So this whole section
yeah.
looks like it was pulled from a previous.
Yeah, I might have gotten my notes mixed up. That's
Yeah.
what it's like.
So I'm just going to change that whole thing to say we started to talk about it, but we didn't take a vote or anything.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, those are the changes I had. Did anybody see anything else? Andrea, did you see anything else when you looked through it?
Well, I'm not sure that I seconded the at the end, the
Oh,
adjournment.
the adjournment?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay. At that point, you could because at that
I
point
might have, yeah.
you were a sitting member, so
Right,
kind of like no harm, no foul.
right.
Okay. So I'd entertain a motion that with these changes, unless somebody has something else, that we accept the minutes from the 8th of March, or excuse me, 8th of April.
So moved.
Okay,
Second,
Anna moved it. Who's the second?
May, Andrea.
Andrea's the second. Okay. All right. So because we're on Zoom, we're going to do a roll call. So Chris,
Uh,
Andrea,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Anna,
I
and I don't see Colleen yet. Oh, Eric's here.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. I don't see Colleen's, so um, reflect that we're all here except for Colleen in the current minutes, Eric. Okay.
Real quick for the sake of these minutes, who moved and who seconded on approving the minutes with those corrections?
Anna moved it and Andrea seconded.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll stop sharing those. So the next point of business is just a report from, actually Anna was there as well, Anna and I from town meeting. The bylaw was approved at town meeting, so we are a standing committee of the town. We have bylaws. I'm in the process of working with the town's IT department to get that information put up on our website. So right now, if you went to the website today, Andrea, I think it's got Chris down as two positions. So we're fixing that. Okay. And also, I had written up a whole section on, who we are, what the bylaw is right now. So that's going to go on the page as well. So we are official with Chapter 12, Article 9 of the Town Code. It doesn't change what we do other than we all now have term expiration dates. And so again, if you look on our website, you can see the term expiration dates, and there were 4, I think, that expired next year and 4 and 3 the year after, something like that. And that's only because we have different groups that appoint us. So we've got Concom, Planning, and Parks appoint the sitting members from those groups, and then the Select Board now has to appoint the rest of us, Chris and Eric and myself and Anna. Okay, so I think they do appointments every year, but I'm checking that out with the town manager. So that's it for the bylaw. So we're all set there. Do we have any reports from other boards? Anything from conservation, Andrea?
We've had a couple of meetings, but I don't think there was much. I guess not.
Okay.
Andrea, how did the Earth Day event go?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, we had a good number there, and we were, pretty much filled up the TC Pasio's gymnasium. So,
Good.
it looked like a good event, and it was pretty well attended. So, hope we'll have a bigger one next year.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Anything from planning, Tim?
No, nothing new to add other than the discussion for what Steven's here to add.
Okay. And Colleen's not here, so we don't have anything from Parks. So, Stephen, we'll move on. I told you it'd be fairly quick. We'll move on fairly quickly. We've got guests with us this evening, Stephen Wallace. He is our planning director in the town. Tim suggested that Stephen come in and talk to us about, well, you tell us what you're going to talk to us about, Stephen.
Okay. Well, it was at a planning board meeting a while ago, and the planning board was discussing a property being withdrawn from the chapter land program. And I forget which property it was, but the discussion was, oh, that would be a nice property for the town to have, but the town doesn't have any money to buy it. And that made me think of something that we did in Westminster. I was Westminster's planner for 11 and a half years, and I was staff to the open space committee there. And what we did was we went to town meeting every year, and we asked for a small amount of money to be donated to a conservation fund. So this became a recurring town meeting money article. We started out asking for $2,500, and I think they've since bumped it up to $5,000. So they never asked for much, and there was not a lot of controversy around it at all. It always passed. And I'm suggesting that you folks might want to consider asking for an annual town meeting allotment for a conservation fund. Now, $2,500, 3,000, 4,000, that's not going to get you very far in terms of buying a piece of land. However, you could, if you let that money accumulate for 2, 3, 4 years, you would have enough money to pay for a property appraisal. Now, if you wanted to interest a land trust like the North County Land Trust into helping the town secure a grant from the state to buy land for open space and recreation, they would want to see that the town has some skin in the game. And working with them over the years, that skin in the game typically takes the form of the town paying for the property appraisal. That and then 25% of the land purchase price. In Westminster, we work closely with North County Land Trust on a couple land grants that were successful, and that's how we did it. The town used their conservation fund to pony up the money for the appraisal. Once the land trust had the appraisal, they could prepare the grant application. And if they were successful in getting that grant, they would use some of that grant money to cover their administrative costs, but then they would help the town through all the necessary steps involved in buying that land with that grant money. So that's what I'm pitching here. I know you're a newly formed committee and you're all now legal-like and official. That's great. But it's just something to consider going forward.
Thanks. So one thing we do have is when Bright Farms, which was a proposal 5 years ago or so, Anna, they were going to develop a farm area, and they wound up pulling out of the project. But as part of that, they made a $10,000 donation to the town for open space. So this open space committee, I don't have a checkbook or anything, but we have, and I'll have to check this with Jen over at Town Hall. We have an account that should be a separate account with the treasurer that had originally $10,000 in it. Now we used 800 or 900, something like that, Anna, to do the title search on the Lake Shirley property.
Yeah, it was less than $1,000.
It was less than $1,000, so we should have 9,000 plus left in that account. So we've got a start on what you're talking about.
I would think that you would use this annual town meeting appropriation to supplement that account.
I agree.
An appraisal, depending on the complexity of the property, it's going to cost anywhere to $10,000 to $15,000. So it would take a couple years for you folks to get to that amount, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. A lot of the other members may not know this because they came onto this committee after we went through the Bright Farms time frame, and we got the money. And I think Anna and I, maybe Eric was on at the time, we were the only ones that were on this committee at the time that we did the work on Lake Shirley.
Well, I did share with Tim the warrant article language that Westminster uses every year.
Okay.
So you can use that as your model. And Um, I would suggest that before you bring that to a town meeting, that you pitch it to the select board
Mhm.
around budget season. And when you do that, I would be happy to attend and speak in support of it. So when budget season comes along and you set up your appointment with the select board, let me know. I'll be happy to attend.
Okay, probably FinCom too.
FinCom as well, yes.
Anna, is that
Um,
just for annual town meeting?
that's what I was gonna say. So where the money is right now, from Bright Farms, it's not necessarily a fund. It's almost like it's more like a category it's a category within the monies that the town holds.
Right.
For what he's talking about, we need to establish a fund
Mhm.
that then is regulated by NGL. So we need to find the language of establishing a similar fund, and we can take those actions actually at the fall town meeting, so that when basically creating the fund doesn't necessarily mean you're establishing it, and then comes the annual town meeting in May, we can then start putting funds there.
I think if you reach out to the treasurer collector in Westminster, she can explain how they set up their conservation fund.
Yeah, and I think Harvard has one too. And yeah, I think the other thing that we can do, there is we are reviewing the financial policies of the town, and that's where it describes what people should do with free cash, what the town should do with free cash, and we could um actually try to insert the language that this fund should be always receive, X% of them of free cash kind of thing. Just as a way to do that. I'm just thinking of all the steps associated with this.
Sure.
Do we have to go to town meeting to establish the fund?
Yes, we do. And that's where I'm thinking we might be able to do this in the fall. So then it comes the annual town meeting, the fund's already established, we can just fund it, because otherwise you're trying to do two things at once. You don't know if town meeting is going to approve the fund, but there is already money allocated for. So it's actually better to do it as a two-step process.
And once we establish the fund, say we do establish the fund at fall town meeting, theoretically, we should be able to transfer that $9,000 from general cash into that fund.
It depends what we write about the fund. Like, it's sort of like a revolving fund, because it will continue existing year after year from one fiscal year to another. That's why they call it revolving fund.
Mhm.
So it depends on like how we establish that fund is going to be and what is going to be the sources for it. It will be in the language of the creation of the fund.
Okay.
So I would suggest starting by sitting down with our treasurer collector and town manager, pitch the idea, and get the list together as to the steps you're going to need to take to put this together.
Okay.
Okay. I'll try to put in a coherent email, Mike, what I just said it, because I know there were a lot of threads in my head, and I'll send it to you, kind of like this
Yeah, that'd
process
be
that I
great.
see.
And I'd be happy to try to set up a meeting with town manager and with Lucy at the treasurer's office too.
And if you want me to join, just so I'm aware of how you're doing it, I'd be glad to.
Yeah, I'll keep you in the loop. That's for sure.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Anything else, gang?
No, we're good. Thank you very much.
All right. You have a good night now.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move on to item number 6, which is our typical items not anticipated at the time of the meeting, but tonight we do have an item that I just didn't get onto the agenda correctly, and that is to finish our discussion about 35 Leominster Road, right of first refusal. I think we're still within the period where we can comment to the select board. I just want you all to be aware that every other board that does make comments to the select board has opted to recommend that they not exercise their right of first refusal. So it doesn't mean that we can't go against that, but that's where we are.
You're talking about the property that's accessed near the gazebo.
Correct. Yeah, there's a house on the property right across, kind of kitty corner across the street from the gazebo. And then it's got a lot of backland. So it's about a 17 plus acre parcel. And the one thing I thought we would do tonight is step through our criteria and then we can discuss it under each criteria. And then as an ulterior motive, Audrey and I want to start again talking about us thinking about modifying our criteria for open space. I've talked about this for a while, but I think it's time that we probably put pen to paper and start to come up with some things. So give me a second and I will share where we are with our current criteria. Maybe. There we are. So just to remind everyone, these are the criteria that we use to recommend whether or not an area gets acquired for open space. And it has to meet at least 3 of these criteria. I'll put the information up in a second about the parcel itself, but we can run through these. So it's 50 acres or more in size. It's not contains important habitat resources. It's not mapped as such. It's not high on the list in on Biomap, or it's not natural heritage mapping. Provides public access or recreation. Well, there's access off the street where the house is, and you could use the back for recreation, for walking. It's mostly a big hayfield at this point. Important for scenic vistas or maintaining rural character. There's very little frontage on the street. So for me, that's a hard one to justify saying yes to. Contiguous to other protected open space or recreation resources. It's kitty corner across the street. It's not contiguous. So we can pick and hit and quibble about that one, but it's right there by the gazebo and supports local agricultural viability. It is like most parcels in town, large parcels in town. It's got soils of state importance. It uses it as a hayfield as far as I could tell from aerials in the past. So that's where we are with the 6 criteria. Let me throw the parcel up real quick. And then I want to open this up for everybody else to chime in.
We did discuss this, right? But we just didn't finish. Is that the issue?
We did discuss it. Andrea asked if we could not take a vote at the last meeting because she wanted to have a little more time to look into this. I thought that was fair.
Yep.
So we did not vote on this. All right, so here's from Lunenburg GIS. Here's the parcel in question. Here's the gazebo parcel up here, number 38. So here's the house and probably a barn and the back area. I can try to turn some of the layers on if you want. Oh, Anna, I thought you were already here. It just said admit you again. Give her a second. Anna, had you dropped off?
I did. Sorry about that. I don't know what
That's
happened.
okay.
Yeah.
It popped up admit you again, so here you are.
There. I don't think I missed much.
Not so far. Let me see if I can get some layers on here.
So while you're doing that, I'm just gonna voice my thoughts on it.
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's the 3rd or 4th bullet says public access and or recreation. It might suffice for recreation. It might be a good walking area, but I think parking is going to be a big issue. I think you might actually annoy abutters because the parking would be just all over the place in terms of, up and down the roads. So I don't think there's a good parking area. And I think it does, like you said, it might check the last box where it's a good, it's good for haying. I didn't see anything else in that list that it really checked, so it's kind of weak in terms of hitting the boxes for me. I'd hate to see it get developed. That's the only thing I'm struggling with because some people feel that they, I guess the way they worded the selling, the way they worded it on the real estate posting is that they're going to rehab the house, but a lot of people feel they're just going to build on it. So that would be a shame.
Yeah, I'd be surprised with 17 acres, 16 acres of backland and a house on the front that they're not going to do something with those other 16 acres. But you're right, that's not what the offer said.
Correct.
So I just turned on a few layers just to show you where we are. So there's some wetlands when you get all the way in the back. These are the different soil types, and I don't have the code in front of me, but I know some of these by heart. These are actually some pretty good, just loamy sands. Turn that one off. There's a little drainage running through here. I'm not sure what that is, but coming from this wetland draining up this way, it looks like, or connecting, or maybe no, it's actually all going to the south because it all goes down to Catacoomanog eventually. So it is connected by some intermittent streams. Let's see. I thought I could do aerials on here too. I'm not as used to the town GIS as I am other GIS systems. Well, I'll just leave it like that for now. Okay. Other people have thoughts on this one?
Well,
Okay,
oh, sorry.
no, you go ahead, Andrew.
It does seem to me that, it doesn't meet our present criteria, unfortunately. And I do wonder if the abutters had a choice between seeing a development back there versus some people, I don't know where they would be parking, but if they had a choice between the two, I wonder what they would choose.
I think we know what all the people around it with back lot lines on the property would choose.
Right.
But that's not necessarily a good reason for us to
No.
consider it as open space, as public open space.
Right.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. To me, this is a fairly open and shut one, particularly in light of the fact that the open part of this it's really not visible from the street at all. There's no current use of it or realistic path for someone to currently be using it, Certainly if you can wave a wand and keep every, hayfield a hayfield forever, I think a lot of people would do it, but I don't think that's our purpose here.
Okay. Tim, any ideas on this one?
No, unfortunately, I'm in the same place. I would like to see it, kept and protected, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily easy property to work with, or particularly convenient in most ways. So, yeah.
What about you, Anna?
Yeah, I don't really see it how it would fit into open space. They do have a couple of streams back there, and I would like to protect them, but it's not it's not viable for open space. The one thing that and I mentioned, I don't know what the people that are buying what their plans are, but that property does not have enough frontage for a subdivision.
Yeah.
And if they think they're gonna demolish the house, they're a little wrong about that. Because
Is it historic?
it's on the APD is on the Architectural Preservation District, yeah.
Yeah.
And that one, like, is even it really does not, the bylaw is drafted in a way that it doesn't even have a way to for anyone to authorize to demolish it. It's an interesting bylaw. But anyway, so I think the house is going to be there. I don't think there's enough frontage for subdivision. So I think it's going to stay the way it is, to be honest.
Is it listed as a contributory structure? Do they use that kind of language in the bylaw?
I don't think that one is. They don't
Okay.
use that language on the bylaw because the bylaw is an architectural preservation, and not necessarily historical.
Okay.
But we do have, Lunenburg does have its historic district, and it does have houses that are, contributing dwellings that part of that historic district. But that house actually was built, I think, in the early 1900s or late 1800s. It's not very old.
Okay.
I mean, my house, it was built in 1790, so like a lot of the houses there of that, part of the historical district are from the late 1700s, early 1800s.
I think one of the other things that we need to think about as a committee, it's not one of our criteria, but we need to keep some dry powder. And if there's a really nice parcel that comes up, and Anna's been with me on a few of these adventures with the select board. This select board may be a little different than past select boards, but they are not, especially given town finances right now, they're not in the mood to acquire additional properties. So as we see these right of first refusals come up, I think somehow, maybe it's through rewriting the criteria, Andrea, we need to come up with some kind of ranking system that says this one is worth going to the mat for or it's not. And just, I'll be honest, my opinion, this one is not worth going to the mat for.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that the town could do, Mike, which we don't exercise this, is we can buy a property and put restrictions on the property on the deed, and then sell it again.
And sell it.
Yeah, you would diminish the value a bit, but you will protect certain aspects that you want to protect. Put the house back on the tax rolls. That would be an aggressive way to do that.
Are criterias a guideline or a hard stop? Like, for example, let's just say for some reason we are interested in this property and it didn't check the boxes. Does that mean we're not allowed to buy it? Or so I guess my question is, why do we have to look at our criteria if we could override our own rules?
Well, I can take a crack at it from my understanding. So those are criteria, guidelines that guides our discussions. And similar to when the capital planning committee meets. But they can make their own decision. So it's almost like guidelines. The way I see it is guidelines that guides us through our discussion and decision, and also tells the community like this is where we start, so that it doesn't come across like we're being overzealous about wanting to save everything.
Okay.
I think it's that expectation the community has for us, and where we start our conversation. That's my interpretation of it, but maybe Mike has a different one, or Eric, who's also been here for a while.
No, I agree. I've always viewed it more as guidance. The one part about it that we have to remember is it's written black and white right in our open space and recreation plan. And that was a plan that was, vetted through the public. And so I didn't date back to when they created this originally. Brandon did. And I don't know how they came up with these particular criteria, whether it was just internal discussions among the then committee members, or if it was part of the overall public outreach that they did for this process.
It does say the town. Sorry, I was just going to say, it does say the town later identified a series of 6 criteria, if that means anything.
So from what I have learned about where those criteria pop, was around 2010, 2011. That came out of the Conservation Committee, including I heard in the meeting, I think Mr. Birch, and so I think it started that way. Like some of these things we do in Lunenburg used to be very informal. So some people there know this what they're doing. They probably came up with a criteria, was probably vetted somewhat. But the town 15 years ago was very different than what it is now. And we need to think about open space in a heavily developed suburban town versus a rural town. I know we want it to be rural with farms, but that's not the reality. And if we keep kidding ourselves, that's what it is, and make a requirement to be at least 50 acres, it's like I don't know if there are many properties that are 50 acres or more, and we have tons of land. What we don't have is very accessible land for more than not so able bodies people, and those are the people that really need to go out. So anyway.
Yeah, and I always looked at the criteria as what we needed to emphasize was finding parcels or having access to parcels that are in underserved areas, number one. So if you look at the area around Whalum, for example, there aren't a lot of public open space parcels around there. There are parcels that are available. There was a camp or something over there that came up for right of first refusal, or no, it came up on tax at one point. And we were, as a committee, we were very interested in that parcel because it was a large parcel that was in an area that doesn't have a lot of public open space. That's number one. Number two is wherever possible, if we can build on parcels or build up the inventory of parcels adjacent to existing parcels that serve as public open space, so we can expand the public open space. Having little pocket parks all over the place is great, but it doesn't, you can't put a trail in. You have a hard time fitting a soccer field in some of these
Right.
parcels. So you need something a little more substantial, but I always thought 50 acres was a bit of a stretch.
Right. I agree with you.
And I like the idea, I forget who mentioned it, about possibly, let's say we knew there was a piece of land and we were worried about it getting developed, is redeeding it, buying it, redeeding it, and then putting it back out there. I think that's a great idea. I mean, not to do it all the time, but in a special case, I think that's great that we have that option. That's, to me, that's great. That's one of the reasons I'm on here, is to protect land that might go, we might lose. And if we had an opportunity to protect it that way, that'd be great,
So there is one piece of land that I am extremely worried about. So the Stillman farm, they have some of that land is protected to be like forever farmland. It's not a chapter; it's a designation, right? I don't know all the legalities, but the strip that goes from their main where their house is to the corner with is it Gilchrist with no, not Grug, but
Gibson.
to that first. Okay, yeah, that street. That land does not have. It might be under chapter, but that one does not have a protection, and that would be prime for development. And that hill is so beautiful. Anyway, we could the town, if we're not constantly living in this financial crisis,
Mhm.
made up or not, but we could, make a plan where we go to the Simmons family and say, hey, we'll buy the land, you get the money now, kind of like we did with Lanny's probably a little over 10 years ago. Like the Lanny's property is all protected because they pretty much take a buyout. And I think the state pays for half of it. I forgot what it was, the program, but does anyone remembers that? What happened with the Lanny's farm?
No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, so the state has a program that they pay 50%, and the town then comes in with 50%, and you put it it's restriction. You put a farming restriction on that land.
Oh,
But
the APR program?
Yeah, it must be. What does the APR stands for?
Agricultural Preservation Restriction.
Yes. So Lenny's was done that way. Also, the tree farm that Jim Latenzi bought was also done that way, and that was a way to. The tree farm was one that was interesting because it had to pass the town. So then Jim Latenzi bought it because then he bought it at a more reasonable price, and we were able to protect it. So I think there is opportunity for us to do that with the Stillman's family. You know, maybe do an APR with them.
Can you repeat where that's located?
So it's like from their house to whatever. Let me find it. I always get those streets. Uh, Goodrich. So from like their house all the way down to Goodrich.
Okay.
So that piece of land doesn't have. It might be on the chapter, but it doesn't have a restriction on it. And the reason I'm worried about it is because it has frontage on two streets, right? And the Massapoga pond outlet is there that feeds into Shirley Lake. Like I see that as a extremely important piece of land that should be protected.
Are they down off Easterbrook?
I don't. Let's see. So is the Massapoga? Man, I just lost myself here. Oh. I don't. Isn't it Easterbrook? Well, Easterbrook might be the outlet for the Massapoga. Yeah, Easterbrook. Yes.
So here's Massapoke Pond, Lancaster Avenue. I think, let me see. This is Stillman property right here.
I don't see where you are.
Oh,
Yeah. So that one, I think it does have an APR. But
all
the
right.
one,
And then,
if you go up top,
oh,
no,
further up,
further up, right there, that piece of land right there between
this one?
no, to the right. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So between the Easterbrook and that sort of that triangle there, that one does not have an APR. And that would be prime development land. It does have it like it has the brook, but it's not a lot of wetland because it's been hayfields and has frontage on it's like a large parcel of land, but has two frontages.
Hmm.
And that like
Oh, frontage on Goodrich and Lancaster.
yep,
Yeah.
we would do well if we can get a group of people to talk with the town manager about approaching this Tillman family and giving and putting this in a APR. It would be so sad if that farm sells and then it gets built house. It would be so. I probably would cry.
There's another property I'm concerned about, and I don't know how soon we have to worry about it, but it's the Flat Hill Orchards.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Oh,
nobody,
yeah.
there's nobody behind Tracy in terms of family going to pick that up. So when she decides she's through, and she's already sold one piece on Flat Hill,
Yep.
Right.
house is up there, which was a shame. I'm afraid she's going to do it again when it comes time for her to retire, and that's going to be. I'd hate to see us lose that orchard.
Yeah, we looked at that parcel when it first came up, that piece that she sold across the street,
Mhm.
under right of first refusal.
Yeah, I wasn't here at that time.
No, you weren't. Yeah, that was quite a while ago.
Mhm.
It was over by Cortland where that development is that goes through there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that should.
I live on Flat Hill. I'm a neighbor of.
I live down the street from you.
Oh, oh.
So maybe that's a goal for us is to
This one.
try to do something like that.
I'd be interested in that. Yeah.
Yeah, apply for some. Figure out how the APR program works, but I know the state will help buy land. And application process managed by the Massachusetts. And, and then there is also another piece of land that is, you know, I'm thinking of the older generation. It's really Cherry Hill Farm. That farming generation there.
That, by the way, Mike, that
Yeah.
property you had just clicked on, Allison. Connie had told me that she wanted to put that into conservation, but I haven't talked to her in years about that, and she hasn't done it. And I know her son's going to inherit the property, so if she
This one here?
yeah, that's 100 acres,
Yeah.
and I live across the street from that, and I Matt can be a little prickly, but I like to have a conversation with him because his mother voiced her wishes to put that in conservation. I'd like to see that followed through. So I'm going to see if I can have a conversation with either Connie or Matt. I don't see Connie much anymore. She's just not out and about as much as she was.
Yeah.
All right, so let's put APR on our radar, Mike.
Yes.
Okay. Do we want to start talking about modifying the criteria or adding criteria or deleting criteria or whatever it is we want to do? Because if
Yeah.
we want to, we can. What you have to remember is that the open space recreation plan is a state mandated document and has to go through state approval processes. So if we change it, we'd have to go back through that process. And I'm not sure exactly how those criteria came to be, if that was through a town process. Then we shouldn't just change it by ourselves. But I certainly entertain us starting to talk about refining these criteria.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know what the process should be either.
All right. So I have an assignment for each of you. We'll all do it. It's a short paragraph, put it in a Word document or something and make your proposed edits to it. And then you can ship them all to me if you want, and we'll start to kick it around and figure out what we need to do. The one thing we shouldn't be adding to it is, I don't think we should be adding our financial considerations, because this is ultimately, we are recommending this to the select board, who then has to bring things to town meeting for acquisition. So, I mean, it's always in the back of everybody's mind, especially with all this Prop 2.5 override stuff going on. But I don't think that should be one of our overriding criteria, unless we want to add the opportunity for grants, because certain types of open space have better opportunities for grants.
It sounds like those criteria were handed to us, the way it's written, handed to us by the town. If that's not the case.
I don't know, I don't know whether the town in there is like the royal we,
Yeah.
This was
Mr. Birch from the Conservation Commission has a history on it, so
he does.
he does. So maybe you can reach out to him, Mike.
I don't know him.
Oh, Andrea could, because he's still on the commission, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ask him, Andrea?
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a few names that I recognized at the top of that document that are still in town commissions here and there.
I mean, I would reach out. I can reach out to Brandon, because he was the chair of this committee when I first joined this committee, and stayed on for quite a while after I became the chair. But he's always been very active in town. And he's also a professional in that field, in open space and conservation land. So I can reach out to Brandon. He was one of the major authors of that document. So I can reach out to him and see what he recalls from that. But if you can reach out to your fellow commissioner, that would be great, Andrea.
Okay.
All right. I don't know. Was Paula on this one at the time? I think she might have been on this one at the time too.
No, I think this predates Paul. I think, like I said,
Paula Bertram.
Yeah, I think this came about around 2011
Okay.
when I think that was also around the time that they redid our conservation bylaws and tightened things even the way they are now. And Paula at that time was in the select board.
Okay.
Jesus, I'm starting to sound like a townie.
Just gonna see what other names were up top, Andrea. Because I know a few of these people. I think, like I said, Brandon would be the one that I'd be, most familiar with. Oh, that wasn't it. All right, I'll look it up later. Okay. Anything else on this one before we go to a vote? I think we're going to need to go to a vote um, on 35 Leominster. All right, then I'd entertain a motion. And if somebody wants to actually say what the motion is, that would be great.
I motion to pass on this property to consider it for acquisition.
Second.
Oh, there you go. Tim got that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion's made by Chris and Tim. And again, this is our recommendation to the select board is what we're going to recommend to the select board that they not exercise right of first refusal. Okay. Let's go roll call. Andrea,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Anna,
I
and the chair votes aye. Okay. So I'll forward that on to town manager's office. And I haven't watched the last few select board meetings, so I don't know if they've already acted on this or not. So we'll find out. All right. Next item on the agenda is citizen comments. I don't see any one on here other than us, so we'll pass through that one. Next is just to discuss our upcoming meeting. So the next meeting is on June the 10th and then on July 8th. So is that 4th of July week? I forget what 4th of July falls on this year.
3rd is a Friday. I'm not sure.
4th is a Saturday, so 8th is the following.
The following week, so we'll be okay. So it's not in the week. Good. Okay. So those are the next two meeting dates.
Did you say June 10th?
June 10th and July 8th. If I did my calendar correctly. All right. Anything else from any of the members?
No, nothing for me.
I don't see anybody else jumping up and down, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
All right. Roll call. Eric,
Aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
Anna,
I
Tim,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you all very much for coming, and don't forget your assignment for the next time because I've got to have it on the agenda on June the 10th.
All right.
Thank you,
Noted.
folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mike.
Andrea, you coming Wednesday or Thursday
Um,
to the workshop?
oh, right. Yes.
It's going to be on Zoom.
Okay.
I was back and forth with Jen today because I wasn't even sure if we were doing it in person or if we're doing it on Zoom. So we're going to do it on Zoom. So I'm hoping to have a
All right.
PowerPoint presentation that I can run through on Zoom with everybody.
Okay.
All
Yep.
right.
That'll be good.
So we'll see you at noon on Thursday.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.